Okay, so how do we get from the Council of Nicaea in 754 to the Second Council of Nicaea in 787 AD, to where we see a total 180? We see they're anathematizing people and they're in total rejection of icons and images and icon veneration. They're totally against it at that moment. How did they go from that to 40 years later to where they do a total 180? Now they're anathematizing people who don't bow down and kiss the venerable images. Because now these are two polar opposite sides. So we got to see who's right. Brief explanation. You had a lady, her name was Empress Irene, and we're about to read about her. Empress Irene, her husband, he fell in line with what we just read with the Council of Nicaea. So her husband, I think his name was Constantine, and we're going to read it. He was an iconoclast. That's a person who's against icons. But she was an iconophile, which means that she was for the veneration of icons and all of that stuff. Apparently her husband dies. Now, they have a son who's supposed to be up next to be the king. Now, the son is also an iconoclast. He totally rejects the veneration of icons and all of that stuff. In order to stop him from being the next emperor, she had his eyes, I think she had his eyes gouged out, but she had him blinded to keep him from being the next emperor. Because if he would have become the next emperor, he would have kept it going. That there just would have been no icon, no veneration worship. No veneration of these icons, no worship of the icons, any of that. He would have kept it going. But since she liked the images and she wanted to venerate the images, she had her son blinded. So if he's blinded, he can't be emperor. So guess who the throne goes to? It goes to her. So she gets the throne and she turns around and then she calls the Second Council of Nicaea, which is what we read about. If a person does not bow down and kiss the images, let that person be an anathema. And this is how they said, okay, that council that we just read, that Council of Nicaea, yep, throw that away, throw that in the trash. We no longer go by that. So we're going to replace that seventh ecumenical council with the Second Council of Nicaea in 787, and we just going to totally forget about the Council of Nicaea. That's how you end up getting the Second Council of Nicaea becoming the seventh ecumenical council. And this is how you get these guys today who are in the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches who believe that venerating and prostrating themselves and kissing images and all of that stuff, this is how they come to that conclusion and say, well, this is what the church came together and decided. But the way that they come about doing that was not by the work of God. It was for political reason, and it was from deception. So let's read a little bit about Mrs. Irene of Athens. All right. So this is just a quick little source that I pulled up on Wikipedia, and I'm pretty sure that there's other sources. And one thing that a lot of people don't give Wikipedia credit for is that they do actually list a lot of their sources down at the bottom. And this is how I ended up getting a lot of these sources and stuff by when I'm, going to Wikipedia and looking it up and then clicking on the links and the sources and all of that stuff. And sometimes I end up going down these rabbit trails, but I end up, coming up with a lot of this stuff by just doing a quick search, going to Wikipedia and trying to see what is true, what is not, and clicking on the sources and the links that they have. Now, some of the links are kind of outdated, and some of them they'll lead to some random website, but some of them do lead to some pretty legit sources. You know what I'm saying? So let's read about Irene of Athens. Irene of Athens, her surname was Sarah. All right, Sarah Tapanchina. Hopefully I'm saying that right. All right, was a Byzantine empress consort to Emperor Leo the IV. All right, from 775 to 780. Regent during the childhood of their son Constantine VI from 780 to 790. Co-ruler from 792 until 797, and finally Empress Regent and sole ruler of the Eastern Roman Empire from 797 to 802. A member of the politically prominent Sarah family, she was selected as Leo IV's bride for unknown reasons in 768. Dang. So they like, well, hold on, we don't know how she ended up his wife. Even though her husband was an iconoclast, she harbored iconophile sympathies. All right, now that's what I was just saying. She liked images. She liked, the kissing of images and the venerating of images. She was with that, but her husband, he was like, nah, I ain't with that. During her rule as regent, she called the Second Council of Nicaea in 787, which condemned iconoclasm as heretical and brought an end to the first iconoclast period. So just like that, now you're an anathema, and anybody who speaks against these icons and the veneration of icons, now you're an anathema, and now it overnight it becomes a heresy, just like that. So that's why when a lot of these guys be bringing up, I go with the councils, the church settled this. How did they come to that conclusion? Don't just tell me anything about no councils and then that's just it. The church settled it. They had a council, they met, and that's just it. No. Let's examine some of this. How did they get to this point? Some of that stuff was by wicked means. During her 5-year sole reign, her public figure was polarizing due to the setbacks faced by the empire of her iconophilic stances, often attributed to her gender and the influence of her retinue. Her reign as, and I'm pretty sure I probably mispronounced that, her reign as sole ruler made her the first ever Empress Regnant, ruling in her own right in the Roman and Byzantine imperial history. After the death of her husband, Irene secured a throne for her family, setting herself in charge. During her regency with Constantine VI, she became very influential in government policies, largely overshadowing her son. As Constantine VI reached maturity, he began to move out from up under the influence of his mother. So his mom has power. He's becoming mature. So now, after her husband has died, her son is now next up to be the emperor. I hope y'all following what's happening. So now he's saying, so now they're saying that the son is like, all right, mom, I'm about to start doing my own thing. I don't need to be up under you no more. Now, of course, when dad died, I was a kid. I couldn't be the emperor, but now that I'm starting to grow up, I'm about to start taking on this role. So let's see what happens. In the early 790s, several revolts attempted to proclaim him as sole ruler. One of these revolts succeeded, but in 792, Irene was reestablished in all imperial powers as co-emperor with Constantine VI. In 797, Irene organized a conspiracy in which her supporter gouged out her son's eyes. Constantine was imprisoned and probably died shortly afterwards. With him out of the way, Irene proclaimed herself sole ruler. Pope Leo III, already seeking to break links with the Byzantine East, used Irene's alleged unprecedented status as female ruler of the Roman Empire to proclaim Charlemagne as emperor of the Romans on Christmas Day of 800, under the pretext that a woman could not rule solely, and thus the Roman throne was actually vacant. A revolt in 802 overthrew Irene and exiled her to the island of Lesbos, supplanting her on the throne with Necphoros I. Irene died in exile less than a year later. So this is how we ended up getting the Second Council of Nicaea. This is how we go from the Council of Hiera to the Second Council of Nicaea. And let me pull this back up. So this lady was responsible for this. Let's go ahead and share this screen and put it up. So this lady, in order to keep her son from ruling, because she knew that her son was against icon and veneration of icons and bowing down and worshiping and kissing these icons, she knew that he was going to follow in his father's footsteps and keep that going. So what ended up happening was she says, okay, I'm going to keep him from becoming emperor. So I'm going to have his eyes gouged out. And then I'll take sole authority. I'll take rulership. And then I'll be the ruler. So in the process of all of that, she calls this council, the Second Council of Nicaea in 787 AD. And this is why a lot of these Roman Catholics and these Orthodox nowadays, they don't know their own church history. They don't know how they get to the point where you see them carrying statues and stuff, and they got the Mary up there, and you see them, they going inside of the church and they bowing down and they crossing themselves and kissing the icons and kissing the pictures and all of that stuff. The early church did not do that. Well, some of them did, but you know, the ones who were doing it back then, there was a lot of pushback that was happening. It was just like, yo, let's stop this. That's foolishness. So the true church at the time came together and said, hey, listen, actually, we're going to have a council and we're going to say, nope, don't do that. If anyone who does that stuff, they're an anathema. Now, this is the Second Council of Nicaea in 787 AD, and this ain't going to be the first, this ain't going to be the last time that I bring this out. Y'all have heard it here. All right. So the Second Council of 787 AD, which was called by Empress Irene, who we just read, this is the conclusion that they came to when it came to the veneration of icons. The Holy Council exclaimed, we all believe accordingly. We all hold the same. We have all signed in accord. This is the faith of the apostles. This is the faith of the fathers. This is the faith of the Orthodox. This is the faith that has sustained the world. Believing in one God to be praised in Trinity, we kiss the honorable images. May those who do not hold accordingly be anathema. May those who do not believe accordingly be driven far away from the church. We accept the sacred images. We subject those who do not believe accordingly to anathema. To those who apply to the sacred scriptures, to the sacred images, saying in the divine scriptures against idols, anathema. So they're saying that even if you say that the scriptures are against you bowing down and venerating these images, they're saying that even if you try to use the scriptures to do that, you're an anathema. To those who do not kiss the holy and venerable images, anathema. To those who call the sacred images idols, anathema. So that would include the early church fathers, especially like Epiphanes. So Epiphanes must be an anathema. So when you run into a Roman Catholic or an Orthodox person that says that, yeah, I hold to this, I believe that if you don't kiss these icons, you're an anathema. Well, that means that Epiphanes was an anathema too, and you hold to him as a church father and a saint. So technically, you could pray to this guy. Do you believe that God's an anathema? You know? If anyone does not accept the gospel narratives when painted, anathema. If anyone does not kiss them as being in the name of the Lord and his saints, anathema. You see what I'm saying? That's why I've warned people. I'm like, listen, when y'all want to try to, talk about church history and you want to say Protestants don't know church history and we just so dumb and we just so ignorant, you better be careful, because when you start having Protestants that are coming in and we're examining this stuff, don't get upset when we bring it out. I mean, we can see the wicked history behind how this practice of icon veneration, praying to icons and all of that stuff, we see the wicked history behind that. We had a lady who had her son killed essentially to make sure that he doesn't continue to keep the practice of anathematizing people who venerate icons. And what was the council's conclusion? They said, we don't need people doing this because it takes away from Christ. It takes away from venerating him. He's the only person that needs to be venerated. So when you start doing all of this, I kind of feel you, and you're making it images and you're bringing them into the church and all of that stuff. It's just, you're basically just distracting the people and you're moving them away from Christ. Hey, thank you guys for watching the video. Go ahead and hit that like button. And if you like this particular content, hit that subscribe button as well if you have not done so. Also, check out this most recent video that I've done right here, or check out some of these other videos that I've done concerning the same topic. All right, you guys have a blessed day.